have to. I mean, they could just slam Aphelios Thresh here, or like Wukong Thresh, Wukong Thresh, for example.
I'm a bit surprised we went rakan here, just because, I mean, they're just going to take Xayah anyways, and you're just going to go Zeri rakan. And I would just rather you go Wukong anyway. I think Wukong's just the best engage, pretty decent disengage as well. And Inspired is performing on the pick.
Well,
Game 1.
I will say they don't have to necessarily take the Xayah. I mean, this is where it comes to the decision of how confident your bot lane is. Like, if your bot lane's really confident in matching the Xayah rakan in lane phase, because Xayah rakan actually loses almost, look, they're just going to take Aphelios Thresh.
Okay.
Xayah rakan actually lose almost every lane phase in the game that's like popular in the meta. Like, they don't actually get pushed or win these lanes, or they're not supposed to at least, enemy bots playing correctly. So I think that EG being confident are just, putting themselves into that, situation. Like, they're just going to pick Aphelios Thresh, and they're just going to try to smash them in lane and scale better than them. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see. The Xayah rakan, though, of course, out of lane, it could be a bit of a nightmare. And I think for Luger and Poome, they've both been struggling a little bit this series. I was disappointed a little bit in the individual level out of CLG, and if they don't pick it up somehow. And the last time we saw Luger on Xayah was actually very, very good from him. So I'm excited to see them back on some of their most comfortable champions.
What's interesting here is usually I would go for, see the Gragas hover. Usually I would go for a Maokai going into the Wukong. I know it's banned here, so a little bit more difficult to find a jungler. Perhaps the Gragas is the jungler, so it's a strong flex. I like it.
I think this is a better adaptation by CLG anyway. I think them being on Xayah rakan, like you guys said, they had a really good game on it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think they're just
Jojo's being Jojo.
I got baited. I got baited.
He was first trolling through Palafox's pick. But yeah, I do like pointing out that Gragas could, it could go mid.
They could go
top or jungle.
Yeah, so this brings us to the question that we were all talking about right before this, is what do you do about Ssumday on red side? Fifth picking, Malphite, what are you going to blind for Dhokla that feels more impactful than the things he's been kind of doing so far?
I mean, the problem is I know that Dhokla is not an R player, and I said this on the last game broadcast, but if you're going blue side and you're blind picking top lane without any bans, which is what they've been doing, because they've been targeting the pool from either mid or jungle on the 4-5, not top. If you're going to try to set up Dhokla on a carry, you need to give him those 2 bans, because Ssumday is someone who has the threat to play a lot of champions. Like, he does not have to lock in Malphite. He does not have to lock in a tank here. If you're going to blind something like Yone or Gwen or some kind of carry or Jayce, whatever, you need to prep for it in the bans.
I actually really love the Jayce call out, because if they go Jayce on 4, you still don't know where that's going from EG, right? So that's another thing that if it's not banned out here, EG has in their pocket that they could flex between Ssumday and Jojo.
The one thing to note too is
they banned the Malphite.
Well, so I was gonna say, the thing is, who has the immobile AD carry this time? It's like the Xayah is not scared of a Malphite, so this is an angle where, it's not Jinx, it's not Zeri. You can have tools to outplay the Malphite on your own. And so they're like, wait a minute, Dhokla is gonna slam this.
I think this is gearing more toward a 4P top probably by Ssumday. I'm gonna guess Ksante. That's just gonna be my guess if this is the case, because I don't see why. I mean, they might just really respect the Malphite pick too much, but I don't think that Dhokla would just slam a Malphite blind on 4-5 here if they 4P mid, for example. So I do think that this is probably going to be a 4P top and give Jojo that 5P, because, like you guys are saying, that Gragas could go mid, jungle, or top, and I think they want to give Jojo more of that agency.
I was gonna say, I think they also might be egoing a little bit with Jojo saying, I don't think Palafox has counters to whatever I want to do, and so maybe you slam the mid.
You're right, it's egoing.
Slam mid,
there it is.
We're scared of Dhokla, he can't get counterpick now, and we just keep giving Ssumday 5th pick. I actually really like this idea out of EG.
It's also interestingly enough, obviously Jojo is feeling a lot better, but his Veigar game, he kept getting displaced by the Gragas, and here he's picking it into
PTSD.
it. So yeah, wherever that Gragas goes, that is such a kind of call out from Jojo being like, I'm fine. Veigar's cracked.
Yeah, and I wanted to say earlier to your point, Emily, I think it's a lower chance that EG would take the chase just because they don't have that AP jungle. It's way more higher that, I guess, CLG does it. And I mean, hey, Malphite's banned. I mean, this is, EG definitely using the draft a lot better.
Could be another Sion angle.
I think this is going to be a Gragas. I think so. I think this will probably be a Sion or a Renekton. And that's going to be a Gragas jungle.
Gragas jungle, base mid.
This is just for comp, definitely the best option, I would say. Unless you want to kind of flip on the Renekton again, I don't even think it would be that bad.
This is their best bet, I think, for damage spread.
And that's the Ksante.
There it is.
I mean, this is much more
standard in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think that CLG has a much higher chance to win with this draft than they have in the previous drafts, I will say.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I really like Palafox and Jayce and how he plays team fights, so that's one way to look at it.
It also hopefully will erase one of the problems that CLG has had, is that they have not had push in mid, right? And Jojo and Inspired have kind of been running mid lane and then spreading that pressure elsewhere. So hopefully Jayce can get prio on the Veigar.
I will say I do think that the mid 2v2 should be winning for EG, especially around level 6 timer. But I also want to say that it's gonna, a lot of times, and this is kind of like a meme, at least internally with pro players, is like junglers are not the best at Gragas compared to like, you know, in general. So I do hope that Contractz comes out with a really good Gragas performance, because that is definitely gonna be, you know, what decides a lot.
I know one jungle co-streamer who has a very different opinion on who's the better role at Gragas, but we'll leave it there for now.
Oh, yeah.
EG on match point. CLG have to bounce back.
It was Tenacity who found JoJo's Veigar over and over and over again after EG were out to a lead early on, punished him, caught him out, and that's how 100 Thieves came back to win it. So for JoJo and the Veigar specifically, because you're not on a champion like Ahri that has all this mobility and all these dashes, I'm really gonna be keeping a close eye on his positioning.
True. The first couple of games, you've got a lot of mobility, you've got an even extra speed up as well to dodge some stuff. Now is the true test. This is hard mode.
Yeah.
You're just a little Yordle here, waddling around with the protection of a cage. That's about it.
Is Veigar a Yordle?
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm like 95% sure though.
That's pretty
There's
sure.
like
Okay, I'll trust
5%
you
wiggle
then.
room.
If you said you were going to be like 70%, I wasn't going to believe you. But 95, that's
I mean, look
confident.
at that movement. That is Yordle movement.
Okay, yeah,
if
I
I've
guess it is
seen-
kind of derpy. That is probably a Yordle.
That's for sure.
Okay.
It is
All
evil
right, I'm a
Yordle
believer now.
movement, but
Okay, I'm a believer now. He's an evil Yordle. All right, well, he's going to have to continue the evil that the Geniuses have been bringing to the Rift here so far today in the series, because honestly, their team fighting is back on point. Their drafting has been on point. They're definitely the better team here today so far, and we'll see if they can close this out clean against CLG, because then that makes them a very scary opponent going into next week's match.
I just realized something
What's
that
up?
makes me even more confident. In TFT, Veigar gave Yordle bonus.
Okay, well, if he gave Yordle bonus in TFT, then he's definitely a Yordle. You can't just be like, this guy's a Yordle. Yeah.
So the question becomes, how much do we trust TFT, I guess? Still 95%.
Yeah, that still rounds up pretty far, I think.
Hey, there's a co-streamer.
Yo, we got
What's up,
co-stream.
Nevsco?
Hello. All right, there. Now we're good. We've got the co-stream, normal stream, duo synergy lined up. Up here on the top side, Ssumday versus Dhokla, the Ksante versus the Sion. Sion obviously trying to be that massive wall, whereas Ksante's got a little bit more opportunity to make plays of his own. But you can see Evil Geniuses losing the flash from their support as Poome and Luger hit level 2 first. The Xayah Rakan, the power of this duo in the lane, especially if they get that early control, that early lead. Nothing to scoff at. Both supports losing flashes there.
Meanwhile, another Q3 hits on top side, and Ssumday is working through this Sion.
Dhokla just having to be respectful of this here. Far behind in farm, but a lot to make up there once it crashes into the turret. Inspired floating around this bottom side just to make sure that there's nothing that he can't get involved in here. Maybe find an early, cheap first blood, but not going to happen. Back into the jungle instead.
And he's doing the same thing that he did last time on Wukong. And the reason you do this more often on Wukong, leaving up the red buff like this, is because Wukong, your dueling is not fantastic early. You're looking for your level 6, and so you want to get your smaller camps respawning quicker, your Krugs and your Raptors respawning quicker. So you do those first, clear down towards the bottom side of the map, and then you reverse to the top Scuttle Crab because you don't want to have to fight Contractz over the Scuttle Crab.
Right.
Since you've got a Veigar mid into a Jayce, who's not going to be able to help with your Scuttle Crab fight, nor is your bottom lane, as your bottom lane getting pushed in as well. And it plays into your level up plan here for Wukong. So he does the exact same path, exact same rewards here, is going to be able to get the top Scuttle Crab, but that leaves the opening. CLG saw him go top side, so they want blood.
This is going to determine a lot, I think. The first blood goes over to FBI. It's a 2-for-1 for EG. And Contractz is now the target. If they might pursue some more, but they won't. Honestly, man, not what CLG wanted to see from that. FBI even getting the first blood on Aphelios.
That's some Zoolander stuff right there. They're gonna make them bleed their own blood.
But why male models?
How you like them apples? Yeah, they definitely a bit of a fumble there. Teleport in for our evil geniuses, and they are the rich ones. Let's take another look at it. So Luger gets hit by everything from FBI and then tanks tower aggro, then cleanses. But the tower shot after the heat up there is able to finish him off, and they get 2 for it.
Man.
Vulcan got 1. They got FBI with the other one, so they even get some extra kill credit here. Spreading the money, Noon Quiver on the back for FBI, quite nice.
And unfortunately for CLG, that 1 kill ended up on Poome. It could have gone to Contractz, it could have gone to Luger. They would have liked either one of those situations better. But unfortunately, it's just the Rakan collecting a paycheck off of that dive. Small gold lead here for EG, just about worth the difference in first blood bonus money and the extra kill. But FBI and Vulcan now have control over the bottom lane. They're going to get the push here. No super early Drake this time, but Inspired is heading back towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, definitely felt like a bit over-aggressive because of the pressure they're on in this situation. Elimination match here for playoffs for CLG. Backs are against the walls. Now they get a hook here.
Vulcan's ready to go in after Poome. However, he does a good job making sure he's the one getting engaged on instead of Luger. Luger flashing away to avoid any sort of threat on himself. Poome can then retreat back to the safety of his ally. Now we have the potential of a 3v3 here in bottom lane, but with Contractz having the level advantage over Inspired, EG don't want anything to do with it.
Yep, just push him right back out there. They know no flash on Thresh. Maybe if EG were a little bit lazy, gave him an opening, they could pounce, but not going to take it. Oh my gosh, it was also a flash. I didn't even see the setup. That is rough. That is a flash down on Luger, and Poome jumps in to shield him, takes it as well. All right, Vulcan Hex Flash on the Thresh. Let's see if he can... He's trying to chase down for a delay on the bases, and he does delay the bases. Against Xayah Rakan, that's more difficult because you have to stop both their bases.
Yeah.
But he makes both of them run, both of them stop, and that's going to be a dragon timing. Delaying those recalls for the bottom side earns you an objective. Big objective play there from Vulcan.
And it's round about the same timer as game number 1. Game 2, we got to see that first Drake around 5.5 minutes. Game number 1, it was closer to the 6.5, 7 minute mark, so not quite as fast. But the biggest detail is the fact that it's still well before the first Rift Herald spawns. You don't have to trade those neutral objectives with your opponents as a default, and you still have the chance to potentially contest for the Herald when it does spawn here in about 45 seconds. But EG, happy to have that first Mountain Drake for themselves, as Poome looks for an engage here on FBI. FBI having the red and white guns, Infernum, or not Infernum, Severum plus Crescendum. I always forget these goofy Latin-sounding names, but anyway, FBI has the guns where you do not want to run into them in a 2v2.
Exactly. The nursery rhyme warning goes, red, white, do not fight.
Works for me. It's easier than remembering the actual names.
It's great for Melee champions to remember. I do want to point out one thing that is going well for CLG is Contractz Gragas farm. So at least he's been power farming here, is able to steal away the Raptor camp, and is looking for Krugs as well. Gonna be able to get a nice lead. And he did get to level 6 first, though they weren't able to make a play out of it before Inspired was able to catch up and get his level 6. Now they're both topside as well into a Ksante, which is not where you want to make any dangerous plays.
Ooh, Ssumday's all out. Dhokla tries to get away. Ssumday wanted to jump in front of him, stop that ulti from being able to get all the way away. Meanwhile, here in bottom lane, 2v2 is not going the way of evil geniuses. Luger and Poome just destroy Vulcan before FBI can do anything about it. And CLG's bot lane is trying to flex muscles here a little bit. FBI wants to fight back now in a 1v2. The Feathers don't find the EG80 carry. Poome nearly just gets auto-attacked to death. FBI loses Crescendum, but now what about the fight after? Luger goes in for the ulti, and FBI wants to fire back. Both sides incredibly low. Poome takes an auto-attack, has to flash away. Somehow, none of these 3 players are dead.
Ooh, I love it. Down to the last skill shot there. The crowd loves it as well. During that whole time, during our show on the bottom side of the map, it's another objective picked up. I picked up by Inspired. Wukong managed to get it, managed to get out as well with no casualties on the side of EG because FBI saw both bottom lane members and Vulcan on reset got to go over towards the top half of the map. That is going to be a big opening though for bottom side. Poome pretty happy to be able to trade just his flash for both sums off FBI. Now this Aphelios is going to be without any sort of get out of jail free cards. And here it is, CLG. They know if they focus Vulcan down here, he's so far away from FBI, they start hitting first. Look at this, not till now where FBI was able to get off his first bit of damage. So that was a full combo from CLG. And since the brush was so far away from the Aphelios, good awareness to start it out. Then this moment, FBI pops his ghost. Luger knows he can trade to the death last auto because he has his ult, and he gets the flash out there. So then double summoner spells already now earned for CLG, and Poome has to flash away because the gun does more damage than the feather.
Yeah, somehow that's the way it all shakes out. But I love the fact that FBI went for it in the 1v2. I like the fact that he's skill checking himself like that to see if he can get away with it. He nearly did, nearly died as well. Yeah. So we've still got ourselves a very close game here, 10 minutes in. Still plenty of time for either side to try to make a power move, get some turret plates. You've got that Herald in the inventory of Inspired that you already pointed out earlier. About half the timer left on that one. So EG is going to need to find out where they want to place it, figure out the game plan based around it so you don't just end up wasting it like we saw happen back in game number 1 as FBI and Vulcan ready to defend underneath this turret, and you could see it was Inspired floating around nearby just in case CLG wanted to try to make a dive on this massively stacked wave. As soon as they see that that's not happening, FBI can clear it out with Infernum pretty much effortlessly as, oh, that was close. That was close.
Timing there, ever so close. Not going to result in anything, though, as the Dragon's about to spawn, too, and we have Inspired. He wants to get his top camps first to be able to move priority back down to the other half of the map. Cage here is going to land nice little chunk of welcome damage onto Palafox, who has finished his Eclipse and got right back out. It's okay, though. He had refillable potions, so he'll be able to heal up before the Dragon arrives.
Yeah, he should be just fine.
And CLG there with Contractz and Poome getting vision preemptively. You love to see this. 30 seconds ahead of time. Bottom lane pushing up as well. Since they've got the Jayce mid too, EG said, fine, CLG, you can have your full setup on Dragon. We are going to take top tower and maybe your top laner's life.
Dhokla's going to flash and then ulti just to make sure nobody can get in front of him, stop that ult disengage. But EG is committing a lot of men to this. FBI, Vulcan, and Inspired are going to be the ones sticking around to take the plates and attack the turret, while Ssumday goes back to base and then walks bottom to contest CLG, who are trying to take the bottom lane turret in response.
And you want to take the turret plates early by hand, then use the Rift Herald to finish off the later ones, because they increase the armor that's on them for every champion that is around them when you take them. And you want to get the most out of the true damage. Inspired's going to use it here. The reason why you do this as EG is because if CLG don't come to answer, then you can get a 2-turret trade. So I would like to see EG continue to usher that Rift Herald up and get 2 turrets for 1, because CLG got a lot of turret plates by hand with their Rakan and Xayah as well. And you really want the value. Secondary, these turrets right here are worth 800 gold.
It's a lot.
To your team.
Bottom side, though, Ssumday getting dove. 4 players from CLG after this tier 1 turret and after the Evil Genius's top laner. Poome just dies to the turret. That can't be the intention. Ssumday casually 1 versus 4. Palafox tries to get back out of the range. Contractz and Palafox both barely staying alive. CLG get it done, but it was sloppy getting there, and it cost them their tier 2 turret in the top lane.
Poome's got a death wish. The only explanation for that one. CLG still get the kill that they were looking for down here, but Contractz might.
Ooh, Jojo overestimating his burst potential there, and Contractz walks it off.
Yeah, still a little bit early for the Veigar mega damage, and he's level 10, so not rank 2 ultimate yet, not quite yet. Have the burst damage to deal with Gragas, and had gotten the flash out of him already too, so maybe that's an area where CLG can try and punish. Veigar no flash now. You mentioned it, the analyst S was all over this, talking about the last time Jojo played Veigar into Gragas. It was Tenacity piloting the Gragas and just kept hitting him with ultimates into the rest of the team to get picks. might be a case now that's a lot easier to pull off, that he offensively burned the flash, but EG still very happy here, almost up to the 1,000 gold lead, and they do have some early prior on this bottom side, but it attracted every CLG member moving down to FBI, so you can see the positioning from Vulcan already, very defensive, positioning for the Lantern to get him out.
So what do you want to see from CLG here, Kobe? If they want to be able to keep this series alive, take us to a game number 4, they're down, but not extremely. I mean, Drakes are tied, only about 1,000 gold separates them. What's the game plan for this mid game?
I would say make a quick use of Sion ultimate and try and hard engage with him plus Poome. You have so many really, really good snap engagements with Gragas, with Rakan, with possibilities of Sion ultimate coming down, that you can make a really quick attempt on the life of this Veigar. No flash on Veigar. We talked about it. That Yordle does not waddle very quickly. That is definitely an easy target. And if you have those champions we just listed, that it will engage on a Veigar. So the only thing you then have to worry about is positioning from a Thresh. Nice defensive positioning here from Vulcan once again, with the Lantern behind Jojo. Jojo gives him a cage hug there, I guess.
Yeah, that was definitely
buddy.
a Jojo and Vulcan play. Cage your own teammate, then thumbs up each other.
Thanks for the defensive Lantern position, buddy. I've got your back, I guess, is the call out there. I guess the only problem with that game plan would be that there is a stopwatch purchase from Vulcan. Even though he doesn't have flash, he does have stopwatch, so a little bit more difficult to pull it off then. And if you do a stopwatch, by the way, it's really nice when you have Thresh, because you can just, while you're in stopwatch, you click the Lantern, and if you don't have put any more inputs, your input will be buffered, so you look like a god and instantly take it as soon as your stopwatch ends. So that kind of safety right there can be something they can use to buffer that. The other thing, CLG, with that engage we were talking about, the Rakan, the Gragas, and possibly Sion ultimate, you can take a swing at FBI and hope to at least burn both summoner spells before the next dragon. I always love fishing when there's about 2 minutes for next dragon spawn for a little fight at one of the enemy carries, so you can burn their summoner spells. Not even trying to fully commit for a kill, just burn summoner spells 2 minutes in advance of the dragon. Then you have plenty of time for your ultimates that you used in an attempt to get those summoner spells to come back, and you can reset and grab your wards and then look for the kill in the second time around.
It's all about the setup, making sure that you're giving yourself a layup for a little bit later in time. But Luger getting potentially caught out here. FBI forces the cleanse out of the CLG AD carry, and there's what we're talking about, Kobe. Couple minutes before an objective comes up, blow a critical summoner spell, make a high-value target more susceptible to being bursted down. Contractz going in for Jojo, knocks him into the wolf pit, but that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, Jojo gonna be able to fight off those wolves, no problem. Or just waddle away. Now there will be no
Just leave.
Gragas ultimate. So the question becomes, with your Gragas ultimate now used at the wolf camp, do you actually still want to go for this? I think you probably still do, but it is going to be more difficult. So might want that cooldown back. We'll see about it. I think they still go for it. You can still soften them up. Palafox here. Let's see how much damage the poke is. Looks like it's going to be hard. You have to land on somebody besides FBI with the big shield.
Yeah. Ssumday just walks casually through all of CLG, regrouping with his AD carry back here in mid lane. The Rift Herald is summoned up. It should be able to kill the tier 1 turret with a single charge. EG wants to try to stop it. No, it just barely doesn't have the damage. So the tier 1 turret stays alive for EG here in the mid lane as they trade poke back and forth with CLG.
Still about a quarter of the time left on the Gragas ultimate cooldown, so maybe CLG just want to fire poke. Good stun here from Jojo, finds a little bit of said poke onto the Rakan. It's pretty valuable to chunk out a Rakan really early on in these fights. That's the type of engage that you can actually burst when he comes charging at you. Ssumday with the fancy footwork over here, and they're just stalling. So Gragas ultimate is back up. CLG have been able to wait for the cooldown now.
Jojo also at half HP. The Veigar eating some of that poke from the Jayce. There's that mid lane tier 1 turret falling down, and there's CLG taking themselves a gold lead in game number 3, taking control over the bottom side river and taking their second Drake of the game.
Patience is a virtue. Determination there from CLG. They returned for the mid tower kill as well as the dragon. And Evil Geniuses not wanting to walk into any sort of detrimental situation now. Jojo does have his flashback up. Veigar is a scaling along, no problem.
Observers, can we see how many stacks the Veigar is up to here 19 minutes into the game? 149 stacks of the Primordial Evil thing, whatever it's called. Remember that each stack is 1 AP, and in general, I like to compare it to how many Blasting Wands did he get for free. 160 AP would be 4 Blasting Wands, so a lot of extra power here for him. Just about at 300 AP total with the Rod of Ages completed. Nearly has the tier all the way stacked up to be able to buy his Archangel Staff and immediately evolve into Seraph's Embrace for the extra survivability as well.
All right, looks like we're gonna send 2 top. Contractz is trailing Palafox on the top side push here, which could be very dangerous for Jojo. In the end, they don't want to overextend though. They see the rotation from mid, and so they don't want to force on tower, but they are gonna hide around for a sneak play.
Baron spawning up here, there he is.
Jojo doesn't walk up to the brush until his team gets there. This is a little bit of Jojo bait.
Yep, this is them saying, all right, come get him. And sure enough, they take the bait, but can EG get the punish they were looking for? Dhokla's here on the front, and they want to go after the frontliner of CLG. The Sion is tanky, but he will finally drop, and it's Ssumday getting the kill. CLG, their AD carries back in the mid lane, gonna get that wave shoved up now. Dhokla's dead body slowly running out of juice, and he's out of the picture with no summoner spells, but Vulcan is about to die. He will fall, but if he's traded for Palafox, EG are gonna be just fine with it. Ssumday goes all out, and Luger's his target, but now he's gotta be careful because the rest of EG's not here yet. Evil Geniuses, 4 versus 3 on the map for another 15 seconds. They're gonna start up the Baron.
They surely are, and they're gonna burn through it pretty quickly here. Poome's gonna get a Scryers for vision, 6,000 health and dropping.
This is dangerous, though. Contractz' poke has Jojo and Ssumday both very low. EG really want to commit for this. They want to go after the Baron. Luger goes in. He nearly kills Ssumday, but he ain't quite going to get him. FBI, he has the Severum, but how much is CLG going to commit to this? Jojo has flash to get out of the back of the pit if he can. FBI has no sums. Inspired's ready to go in. They want to turn this one around. Luger is low and they take him out, but FBI is going to be traded back. Now Inspired's killed second. Jojo wants to get away, but Palafox puts a bullet in his back, and EG lose 3.
CLG ending up plus on the kills here. They do give up the Baron. Contractz doesn't want to go in. He has no flash to try and steal away the Baron. And so they play it slowly here to get some more kills out of Evil Geniuses, and they make the call, hey, it's a very low chance to steal Baron, but we can kill them and take some of these Baron buffs off the map instead.
Yeah.
This right here, though, that was pure and simple Jojo bait. EG, they played the long con here. Jojo, people were making fun of him dying earlier in the season, split pushing. He was just setting, he was conditioning his opponents to think that
It's Pavlov.
Exactly.
It's you ring the bell.
The mental conditioning there. Jojo is a bait. It was successful, but here's the kind of cleanup, and it is 2 kills in expenditure from EG, but then CLG, because Palafox is able to teleport back in, they do end up collecting a little bit more and taking some of the buffs off.
Jojo seems unfazed by the deaths after grabbing the Baron. You can see up in the top right, they're currently negative 300, almost 400 here on the Baron itself. Remember, you start off at plus 1,500 just for the money the objective gives you. So CLG are happy with what they've limited EG to here so far. Still about a minute and a half left on this Baron, though, for EG to try to pick something up.
Yeah, EG should only have 2 Baron buffs left. It should just be the Ksante and Thresh. So they do have 2 kind of tanky-ish frontline players to be able to buff up a minion wave and at least stop a mid push from CLG. Meanwhile, they're allowing Jojo to split push on top. The Veigar with teleport but no flash, farming up passive stacks, split pushing over there in the long lane. Wow, he will be able to put a little bit of pressure onto the top tower during this dragon spawn. It's not going to be a tremendous amount, and Dhokla does have ultimate.
Now let's see what happens here mid. Inspired trying to fake him out there a little bit, acting like he's popping the clone, stopping his champion. Teleport comes in from Jojo. Evil Genius is ready to square off for this Drake. They know it's sole point if CLG gets it. They don't want to allow them to have that luxury for the rest of the game. Evil Geniuses, 5-man grouped up here in middle. 20 seconds left on the Baron, making it a little bit more difficult for CLG to clear those waves.
Okay, Flowers, eyes on FBI.
You got it.
He has no flash on Aphelios, but Contractz is already dead. He gets caged. He's actually dead already.
Okay, well, I was getting ready for a dragon fight, and now I think I don't need to get ready for a dragon fight any longer. Contractz just a little bit too close there. You're not super tanky on a Gragas build with a Night Harvester and some Sorcerer's Shoes, man. He just gets popped, and EG get a Drake for it.
Man, see about the replay on the walk-in there. See exactly what went on, but EG happy to take that one.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Dragon acquired. Extra kill as well over in their favor. Now, Jojo got... Never mind.
Oh, Luger gets grabbed there, but the problem is FBI is now in trouble too. They gotta try to defend their AD carry, but FBI is about to die, down to 100 HP, trying to get away, but Dhokla takes him out. CLG looking for more. Ssumday protecting Vulcan and Inspired as they make their exit. And CLG, off the back of a blunder from their jungler, turn things around and find a pick on the enemy AD carry.
Big Dokes with the Sion ultimates. Rakan and Sion engage from CLG. They get one back. They allow Palafox to push out on top side too. Since they've got a rotation here, they can move everybody up towards this top side, maybe.
Oh, Inspired face checking a brush there with Poome and Luger both ready. Evil Genius is going to rotate their mid laner up here to the top side now to try to save the tier 2 turret, but Palafox already cleans it up. CLG up to a 1,500 gold lead.
They never give up. Always scrappy here, CLG. Off the back of a losing play towards Dragon, they drop the Dragon, they drop a kill, but they find a pick in mid, they rotate up. Palafox on this Jayce has so much flat damage, deletes the turret. CLG right back into it, 1.6 thousand, the gold lead. I was about to say though, Jojo, because of the Rod of Ages, when they added the fact that Rod of Ages will give you a bonus level, he's level 16 now as his Rod ticked up to 10 stacks. Here was the engage from Dhokla. It made it difficult for FBI to click the lantern early, and then you saw Vulcan tried to flash to move his position to where FBI would take the lantern too, but it was after he already took it, so they didn't even get that extra distance. So the flash down on him, plus they had gotten the kill. And here was a look at the pick. It was because the Veigar cage was up in time. Contractz tried to belly slam out, but it was too late.
He got somewhat past it, but his model was still on top of the triggerable area. So unfortunately, just picked off and blown up before he could really escape the CC chain. But now, we're once again back to the dance around mid lane. 1,500 gold lead for CLG, but 26 minutes into the game, that's not enough to really change the landscape of the way these fights are gonna play out. It's still down to setup, it's still down to execution. You've got the Zhonya's Hourglass completed for Jojo, so now he's got the stasis to stop the potential engages onto him. Bloodthirster completed for FBI means a lot more survivability for a typically squishy role. Inspired gets jumped on by Contractz and Dhokla, but can get himself back very easily with the power and the strength of the clone. 2 minutes until our next Drake spawns. Both teams sitting at 2 of those as well. This is by far closest game so far today.
I like what CLG are doing. They're contesting as 4 while they let Palafox threaten that hard push on top side, and then they just swing over into the jungle behind Baron to get their vision control right back up.
Okay, everybody's just cool, throwing back and forth a couple of spells, sweep out some wards, place down some more wards. Nobody wants to jump the gun or do anything too spicy just yet here. You can see Poome separated from the rest of the team a little bit, clearing out some vision. He'll be ready on a flank angle. A big Rakan engage could change the entire game here. Has to dash away, however, the grand entrance used to exit from that Veigar cage. Nice shock blast there from Palafox. Hits Vulcan and Jojo. Following it up with a barrel with Night Harvester from Contractz means Vulcan's at about half HP, and CLG are feeling good.
And again, this is a CLG 4-1 split push. Last time they tried the 1 on top side. This time, the 1 split push here. Dhokla bottom side, level 16 Sion with ultimate, with teleport available. Gets the minion wave all the way up to the tower, and then they start on Baron to try and pull EG back.
There are no Scryer trinkets available on Evil Geniuses. They have to check this normally. Death sentence over the wall. Inspired jumps in. EG thinking about contesting this one. Inspired gets chunked, and the Baron goes over to CLG. Nicely done.
Wow. They actually force Inspired back in. He flashes. Can't get the steal, though, with the burst damage. Lanterns him back out. They don't lose any members on the side of Evil Geniuses. But CLG, with this Baron, they can also rotate over to the Dragon, get number 3 for themselves. What a huge, huge move. The 4-1 split push and back-to-back setups for CLG, doing a lot there. It kept EG rotating from one side of the map to the other, and they were just a little bit slow on rotating back. It still came down to a steal possibility, but a difficult steal for them to pull off, and CLG complete the Baron. They will be able to reset easily with said Baron buff and should be able to take the Dragon. They've certainly got all the vision control moving up. EG are trying to make a power move to push out mid first though, and possibly rotate over for it.
Remember that the other Baron achieved this game was the one that EG got, but CLG immediately killed most of them, and they couldn't get a whole lot off the map with it. Now CLG are going to look to get different value for themselves as FBI gets hit with an accelerated shock blast, loses a chunk of health for that one. Poome looking for the chance to go in here. Ssumday trying to escape any sort of engage from CLG as Inspired goes for an ulti, but Palafox kills FBI, and that just means it's a green light for CLG to keep this one going. Jojo's gonna get jumped on next, and CLG scare everybody away.
Just when you doubt them the most, CLG elimination game. What a massive fight for them. Pala sniper on the Jayce, two-shotting people here. CLG will get that Dragon. With the Baron, they can also rush in too and take out at least inhibitor turret. Jojo trying to put up a cage here for defense, but it's not gonna be enough. The onslaught from CLG will not stop.
Dhokla's the only one Jojo could hit, and that doesn't do anything for the EG defenses. Jojo's about to die. He stays alive and kites back. He should make it back into the fountain, but Evil Geniuses are desperately trying to defend their base here. As you can see, Inspired loses clone, still barely alive on the main Wukong himself, as now he does fall, and CLG are seeing what else they might get. Dhokla should die here. FBI cuts him down with the auto attacks. FBI goes in for a second. He's found Contractz, wants to keep looking. Palafox and Luger both trying to get away. Jojo wants to cut him off. He's got the speed boost after the teleport here. A little bit of dark matter over the wall, won't hit anybody. FBI has that green gun. He can snipe at these guys. Palafox and Luger, they're trying to get away. They want to go for a cheeky recall. Vulcan, I don't know what the hell that was, but now he's dead. Palafox goes back over the wall. He's on FBI. EG, they screwed around and they found out. CLG go after him and they cut him all to pieces.
This is the CLG that people wanted to see. Palafox and Luger, they're not going to try and escape. They're going to turn that one right back around. Vulcan gets bopped, and FBI gets bopped immediately afterwards too. Flashes down, and the Evil Geniuses base is in a ruins. That inhibitor on bottom side barely surviving, though, is a pretty big deal. Not having two lines of super minions going in. But man, the fight leading up to this was one on so many fronts for CLG. It was kind of crazy. Contractz was able to disengage Inspired's ultimate, completely nullifying the Wukong ultimate. And they were also able to charge down on the other side, picking up the two carries. It was pretty crazy. But then this one, when they were inside the base, this was the comeback moment for EG. Inspired, FBI here was able to get his flash gale force off and then the teleport through from Jojo. They want to chase down as many kills as they possibly can, but this Jayce does so much damage, and Palafox has the control ward, so they set it up. They don't try and run out the bottom side. Vulcan moves in by himself. That's an easy two-shot for Palafox. And then Luger says, I've got flash, I can follow you. Poome is
dead. Unlucky. Inspired going in after Luger, looking to make this one a 2-for-1 deal. Inspired is low, but Luger is down now too. That is both bottom lane champions of CLG picked off.
What a scrappy game. CLG, when they get this massive lead, immediately dropping 2 kills here, picks from Evil Geniuses. Love to see when you're the team that's so far behind, just overloading the top side of the map, looking for some picks to get you back in. And EG, that's exactly what they did find there. Bottom lane of CLG taken off the map buys EG so much time. And since their bottom inhibitor also did not drop, they're just soaking up extra minions here, able to clear out all 3 lanes and take a breather, try and refocus.
EG is going to need to have a lot of firepower from Jojo and FBI here. You can see FBI on 3.5 items. Infinity Edge, he has the last Whisper completed for some extra armor penetration, because right now, Dhokla's been doing a good job of keeping the damage dealers of EG from hitting anybody who actually matters. Veigar can't blow him up. Aphelios can't blow him up. He's doing a good job role-playing the brick wall right now.
Yeah, CLG have to be careful about giving EG any more time, because guess what? Palafox is full build. This is why he's doing so much damage. He does not get any stronger. He is level 18, full build right now. He can start like selling stuff for different items, but
That's about it.
EG are, any time that they can buy like this, any of these stalling kills that they can make are so big because they're going to start to close that gap, and that's why you can't give over any of those straggler kills. So with the spawn of this next dragon, CLG need to tighten it up, clamp it down here, get some poke with Palafox first, and then finish it off. Ssumday teleporting.
Yeah, Ssumday just gets his teleport interrupted by Poome. Nicely done there, finding that.
Were they going to make some sort of rush play with a like sneaky move over through vision? I guess so, but in the end, doesn't matter. Teleport got interrupted, plus...
Ooh. They want Ssumday. He pops the Gargoyle Stone Plate. He pops the Flash. Ssumday's just trying to get out of town now as he finds the Q3. FBI's coming around from the side. Palafox in a lot of danger. If they're able to blow him up, that's going to be a problem, but FBI's now very low too. Evil Genius is ready to fight back, and FBI goes on a killing spree. Dhokla's here in the front line, soaking so much damage, but there's none being traded back from the side of CLG. A double kill over to FBI. Dhokla's body's trying to get something back, but FBI's already got a triple kill now on the Contractz. Luger fights out a little bit, but there's another kill. FBI and Evil Geniuses are standing tall.
No way! EG are able to get the kills. This objective bounties flowers, they can deny the Dragon Soul immediately, and they can get Baron. Whoa, Ssumday with the 5-head play gets caught on Ksante, only to ult Palafox, the most fed member, the level 18 max build Jayce, into the rest of EG. There's no way this was the plan, but Ssumday here does get caught, chunked down. He has Gargoyle Stone Plate. He buys time to the rest of the team, and then Q3, Ksante ult, the fed Jayce into your team. Even though Palafox can flash out, the damage is done. Look at the CLG backline now. They're separated from the rest of the team. EG can kill these frontline tanks without the threat, and the Cage even catching Luger there, so with that single play.
Holy cow, man.
Ssumday makes the best of a bad situation. He got caught. He buys time. He pops his Gargoyle early. He gets a Q3, then ultimate on the enemy super fed Jayce into the rest of the team. And EG, they're right back into this.
Praise to Ssumday, but criticism towards CLG. You look at this enemy roster, you see 4 targets that you might be able to pick, and then the 5th guy is Ksante. They go in thinking they could pick the Ksante as well, and they get punished so hard for it. Drake's now tied 3-3, a Baron for EG yet again.
I think it's just the difference of vision and the importance of vision. Why casters will just drone on and lull you to sleep. Talking about wards all the time. It's the fact of the over chasing into no vision. But still though, getting the Q3 knockback into the Ksante ult, massive kind of heads up play there while under pressure, and the rest of EG capitalizing on it so successfully. Now you're looking at this pretty fed Aphelios under the hands of FBI here. He's almost full build as well.
That's the problem. You mentioned it earlier. Jayce doesn't get to be any stronger over the course of this game. He's already full build, but now you've got FBI, 5.5 items. Now you've got Jojo with a completed death cap here on the Veigar. Evil Genius's cannons are locked and loaded. And for CLG, they gotta make sure they don't let this one slip away. This is a must-win game, and Jojo has 1,202 ability power.
I hope that audience went out to the stream.
Yeah, that was the most important part of that ability description there, as we do have some pretty impressive AP there on Jojo, but they want to punish him. Poome's ready to go in and try to catch the Evil Genius's mid laner. Poome takes a decent chunk of damage there, but now they should be able to find him. Jojo's job now is to buy as much time as he can. He wants to throw out a little bit more CC. Palafox is low. Dark Matter coming down. Jojo still trying to stand and fight. Poome just barely escaping from that one. Jojo is spamming these spells like an absolute madman. Finally, he drops, but he takes Palafox with him. EG will take that.
Oh, Jojo the dodgeball king. Here we go. They're not done yet. Flowers FBI with Baron buff. Teleport coming right back in from Ssumday.
It was so important there for Jojo to kill Palafox because now the biggest threat on CLG is not around for the defense. EG, 4v4 in the enemy base, 40 seconds on either mid laner. Palafox will respawn ready to battle, and Jojo can TP in once he's back on the Rift now too. Inspire takes a chunk of damage. FBI's the target. Most important man on the map right now. He steps up. He's still ready to try to bait these guys in further, but with their frontliner in Ssumday very low, and with the next Drake, the Soul Drake spawning in under 90 seconds, EG make the call to retreat.
See if CLG actually let them go. There's no teleport on Palafox, so an overchase here would be disastrous. And they're just gonna let them go. Again, they don't want to repeat mistakes, Flowers. At least learning from the last overchase into Fog of War. But my goodness, this game of dodgeball with Jojo, where Palafox and Poome. So the only opening I saw was here. So Palafox had his melee queue up, and Poome went in to knock up Jojo. Maybe if they had talked about the timing window there, he could have gone for that, close the distance onto the Veigar earlier instead of going for the minions. But then on the re-engage there, the last W did drop on his head, 1,000 gold shutdown while he's in base. And let me see on live, what did Jojo get with that 1,000 gold shutdown? He's full build Veigar.
Jojo's ready to go. Could you also check on live, what is the cooldown of Dark Matter? Because I feel like it's probably 1.5 seconds or something at this point.
2 seconds, 2.19 seconds.
I was really close. And also, for those of y'all who are paying attention to the tooltip that just came up, thank you, observers. Yeah, that does say 1,559 damage on a 2.19 second cooldown. This is why earlier we were talking about the fear of letting this game go any further than it has to if you're on the CLG side. FBI and Jojo just gonna knock down the second inhibitor here. It's the CLG base that's now under a lot of pressure. Look at the Nexus turrets, they're about to die, but FBI might be in danger now too. He gets his positioning back and fires out the Moonlight Vigil. Evil Geniuses looking to protect their carries as Dhokla tanks up damage in the front line. EG still looking for a chance to go for the throat. FBI's got the Infernum, and he's got the range too. They want to use Decimating Smash to try to defend, but it won't matter. CLG going in. They know they have to try something here and now. Inspired's going to be forced to the side, but FBI's already dominating. Inspired staying alive. Luger's under pressure. He can't get the damage he needs. FBI found the double kill. Evil Geniuses are just making easy work out of them. CLG has lost the game. They have lost the series. And EG are back in style. They will 3-0 their opponents and punch their ticket to the next round.
What a comeback for the Evil Geniuses.
They were not looking good for the last couple weeks of regular split play. They were playing sick, they were playing remote, there was a lot of stuff going on, so many questions. I was asking a lot of them, what are they gonna look like now that they're in the playoffs? They're starting off in the lower bracket, and they come out looking like the EG that people wanna see. They've got drafts that set them up for success, and they got hands that play the team fights out beautifully.
They certainly do. Happy to see them celebrating on stage for the first time in a while. Of course, it's going to be very painful for CLG.